Hey, I'm Paul Butler. I'm one of the client partners at New Leaf Training and Development, and I'm joined today by Paula Draeger, who works with AON in their rewards solution department for Radford Data and Analytics. And she also volunteers for the Central Coast Human Resource Association, an organisation that I'm delighted to say is a client of ours. Hey, Paula, the purpose of these Take Fives is to give people some practical help, provide some hope, maybe even sprinkle a little bit of humour. So I've just got one question, which I'd love you to run with for about 4 minutes or so, because we do call them Take Five for a reason. So here's the question. What would you say, Paula, that you're learning personally, professionally, and even as an organisation during these rather challenging days? And tell us a little bit more about the work that you do, what you specifically do and who you serve. So over to you, Paula, and I'll wrap it up when you're done.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Paul. So it's a big question asking, and I will try to be succinct and keep it to our 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. But being in human resources last year has truly been a challenge. In talking to a lot of my colleagues, one thing that we've been focusing on both with Central Coast Human Resource Association and then also just as HR professionals is, I think if there were a keyword for the last year would be connection and how to find connection with each other and then also for our employees. So engagement has been a hot topic among human resource professionals for quite some time, but I think during these times, especially when we have workforces doing so many different things, it's been huge. So one thing with CCHRA that we've been trying to do is really continue to connect with our members, and main way we've been doing that is through having lunch and learns and also just trying to find activities to unite HR professionals. Because one thing about human resources is that it can be kind of a lonely job, especially if you work for a smaller organization, because you can't talk to your coworkers about your bad day because you're dealing with confidential information. So having a community to go to like CCHRA, like other HR professionals is extremely important. You maintain that confidentiality, of course, but you also can say to each other, I'm having a really bad day, and they understand what that means. So how do we form a community? As I mentioned, it really is with connection. So the last team that I managed directly, as soon as we went to shelter in place, I started taking advantage of a lot of our online tools. So we had Google Chat, for example, and every day I would just start by going to my team with either a funny meme or just saying good morning. And that turned into our sometimes, I didn't hear from them for the rest of the day, but it also sometimes that meme would inspire them to say something. Or what it really turned into is our daily coffee break. Because one thing with shelter in place is some of these normal things that we would do every day, we just don't get to do. And so finding, I would say, a new space to be able to do those things has been extremely important for me and for the teams that I've worked on. And we are transitioning that idea actually at CCHRA to form we're going to hopefully be doing it on a monthly basis, but a monthly coffee break for the HR professionals, just to get together, not even to necessarily talk about HR, but just to talk, just to have, again, that whole idea of getting back to a place of connection. I have a super amazing colleague up in the Bay Area who has actually so we started shelter in place in this area on March 17th. And she has been doing a daily, what she calls a Slack contest, and she has kept every single one, and she updates me regularly. And these contests are anything from taking a picture with your coffee mug, showing your furry coworker. She did one where everyone posted baby pictures. But it's an organization of about 200 people, but it has really kept them all engaged, and they love it. I'm always teasing her, like, how do you keep this going? How can you seriously do a daily contest? But she does. And it has been a great form of engagement because, again, it's an activity that has zero to do with work and all about being connected as people. So I would say contests are a great tool. I have another colleague who has put together an online game with her coworkers. And so I think we really all are looking for ways to connect that is not work related. Where I currently work, I actually joined, we have a couple different book clubs, but me being me, I joined the sci-fi movie club. And so we keep watching and chatting about movies. And because I work for a global organization, it's actually allowed me to connect with coworkers all over the world. Nothing to do with HR, all about doing movies and arguing over the DC and Marvel universe. So I highly recommend it. Another thing with CCHR specifically, with our regular meetings going on, is to try to bring in special guests and activities. Some have been more successful than others. We did, it's been fairly popular in the Bay Area, but having a mixologist come present. So what they'll do is they'll give you a list of ingredients beforehand, and then a fancy bartender will teach you how to make that drink. Unfortunately, ours didn't go off as successfully as we hoped, but I have heard other organizations. So I think, again, you just got to figure out your audience, but I highly encourage everyone to try and not be afraid to fail with this stuff. And then on a personal note is, I decided to do everything during the pandemic. I not only changed jobs, I bought a house and have been educating my 2 children. So I never thought I would be this busy. And on top of that too, as Paul knows, I finished my degree. So again, which I found really rewarding, and it was a way to stay engaged that just wasn't binge watching Netflix. So I'm completely behind on my Netflix list, but I was able to get my degree going. And then another exciting thing I did is one weekend I did break out my Rubik's Cube, and which has been sitting in my closet for 20 years, and watched a series of YouTube videos and actually figured out how to solve it. So whatever it takes to stay sane during these trying times is I would recommend. And then really to engage and again promote mental health among our teams and each other is 3 big takeaways that I've been incorporating into my work schedule and just my life are: 1, taking a walking meeting. So that means if you have a regular one-on-one with a peer or even a couple of peers, instead of doing it via Zoom, but actually all agreeing to get up and go outside and walk, or even if it's just being outside. Another idea that is at the end of a meeting, instead of everyone just logging off, everyone agreeing to stand up and just look out the window, just to, again, get outside of this little world that we're in. And a third idea was just to do a waterfall in the chat, which saying something that you're grateful for. So what a waterfall is that everyone agrees to write a word in chat, and then someone will do a countdown of 1, 2, 3, and you all hit enter at the same time. So to end meeting on a positive in that way. Another one that I've seen that's been fairly successful and that we've been using where I work now is, again, to start a room, whether using a program like Yammer or Google Chat, and using the first word of your name to again say a positive word. So when you have P names like Paul and I, it's really easy. There's a lot of great affirming P words out there. Some not so affirming as well. And then I'm really most thankful in reflecting on this last year, and as things continue, the county I live in, I think we're going to be sheltering in place for a bit longer. But is that I'm just really thankful for this time that has been given to me to be with my children. As mentioned, I have 2 kids, 9 and 13, and I had to go back to work fairly soon after they were born. I think they were each about 4 or 5 months old. And to have really had this random year to spend at home with both of them, it's just, if I were to pick my word, I'd say grateful. I'm very grateful that I've had that time with them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Paul, on behalf of everyone who watches these, and as you know, they become very popular, thanks for your insights, and thank you for the excellent work that you're doing by the sounds of it over at AON, and also for the great work that I know that you do with specifically with the Central Coast Human Resource Association. So, Paula, could I offer you a virtual high five?
Always.
Thanks, Paula.
Oh, Paul, you've been working out.
Thanks, Paula.